probably
Pretty
a couple
new.
years.
Yeah, good stuff.
They're in Highland Point or something like that. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Starting the episode with a copyright infringement claim on brand.
We're not starting. This is the pre that you don't cut. So if you don't cut this, then we will get copyright infringement claims.
We're singing Haven't You in my old Kentucky home. Kentucky.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Kentucky Commons Radio Hour. I am Michael Moeller, joined by David Satterley
Meow.
and John Renane.
Bark, bark.
Making animal noises all up in this biatch of Brewgrass Homebrew Supply in Louisville, Kentucky.
It's going to be a weird one, guys.
No, it's not. This is going to be a great one. And as always, if you're listening to us on Spotify or iTunes, we hope you've already subscribed and rated. And then likewise, if you do have a YouTube account, go ahead and log on and follow us and subscribe on there. It's youtube.com/@Louisville Ale Trail. Joined tonight by the artist formerly known as DJ Moneybaby and the former frontman of PRJTR.
It's not true.
Chris Johnson of Bell's Brewing in New Belgium.
Meow. Thank you guys for having me. Thank you.
Animal
Thank you.
noises. Yeah, thank you, Chris. Welcome.
Yeah. I don't know. That just is of more importance to me than beer. So let's talk about DJ Moneybaby.
DJ Moneybaby. My best buddy Bobby and I used to have a DJing business, which is what you do when you can't break the mold of the late night DJ squads in this city, which is totally fine in retrospect. But we would DJ weddings and events and whatnot, and that was the name that he christened me with, as it were. He was DJ Silver Fox because he's a silver fox. But yeah, Moneybaby was the name of we didn't introduce ourselves that way to wedding guests or anything, but that's just what it was. Yeah. And then Projector was a glorious band that I was in. I was in no way the front man, not even close to even the primary songwriter, or even a songwriter at all in that group. But yeah, no, that was a really cool and sick band that I was in. We put out a record in 2018, and then some of us had kids and got married, and others of us started working for Bell's.
Did you have to
Just like about half the group.
Yeah.
Did you have to DJ their weddings?
DJ the band? No, probably wouldn't have been asked to do that anyway.
Chris, you're in the band, but we need money, baby.
Well, we do want to hear more about your beer experience. We're going to start the same way the show the same way we always do, though, and that's with an opening beer, top of the show beer. And this time, our guest actually brought it for us. So, Chris, why don't you tell us a little bit about the beer that you brought?
This is what I have described as my favorite beer of all time, numerous times in my life. I love Schneider Aventinus. I love German beer. If it weren't for German beer, I don't know how much I would care about beer at all. And this used to be on tap all the time at Nachbar.
Yep.
And often still is on tap at Nachbar.
In a giant boot.
Yes. My favorite memory of that era is I say, when I was drinking a lot of Aventinus, however we want to describe it, at Nachbar, that was back in my early to mid 20 power beer and alcohol age of everything might as well be the same ABV. And I would
this is a truly unique perspective.
I would go to Nachbar very often, and oftentimes drink a lot of Old Forester or whatever fancy new European beer that they had on draft, and then I would essentially nightcap with Schneider. And it took about 4 years for me to figure out that this beer is over 8% and is in no way a proper nightcap, especially when you have to get yourself back to your living space
And drink it from a boot.
and drink way more than 16 ounces of it. So truth be told, I have not had this beer in probably since pandemic shutdown. I was buying it at Old Town, going through the drive-through during initial shutdown. And so I'm extremely excited to drink this beer with you guys. It is such a fabulous beer, as all the products that they make.
So this is a wheat Doppelbock. For folks that don't know, the description says a rich and complex delight from Bavaria's oldest wheat beer brewery. Carefully selected ingredients, skilled fermentation in open vessels, as well as fermentation and nitration. And this is just whatever. The distinctive taste of this authentic wheat ale. It's pretty boring, guys, but
it's a Doppelbock.
Just you wait.
Anything but boring. It's classic.
No, the beer's classic.
It's gonna be one of those episodes, guys. For those of you who are not on our YouTube or who are, David just spilled his beer everywhere. You can see that on YouTube.
There was a cord in the way.
Yeah. There's a roll of paper towel somewhere.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
See you, buddy.
So as David is cleaning up the mess that he made, Chris, tell us a little bit about how you got into this world.
It was very funny. I recently listened to Scott Schruffler's episode of this very pod. Friend of the pod, I suppose, Scott Schruffler. And I have known Scott for a very long time, and hearing his beer life story spelled out the way that he did.
It's just
The brush just fell. Yeah, it's great.
When it comes to beer, it's creepily similar to how I got started as well. I went to college for books, and while I was at U of L, I got a job at Whole Foods Market to get me through school, and I graduated college, and I did not want to be a teacher, and I don't think anybody would have wanted me to do that anyway. So I retained my job at Whole Foods for another 5 years after I graduated. And during that time, I had worked in the specialty department, beer, chocolate, cheese, wine. And that was my main goal, was to actually get into wine. At the time, I felt that getting into like the sommelier program was a little too daunting. I have a little bit of regret about that, because I think numerous people at this table know how much I still love wine. But craft beer just became this like Pokemon card style level of fun for me. And I kind of became the second in command in the beer department. And truth be told, the person who was buying beer, who had the job of beer buyer at Whole Foods, she kind of seemed like she was going to be there indefinitely. So I didn't really see a future in getting that job, which is the job that I wanted. So I took a little break. I transferred over to the meat department and made sausage and did a little bit of meat cutting for a couple of years. About 2 months after I transferred to the meat department, the beer buyer left to become a teacher. A very, very, very noble track.
Yeah, but she wouldn't have been Mr. Money Baby. So
Mr. Money Baby. Yeah. All right. After this, that now people are going to call me that. So, do we want to toast the show?
Yeah. Let's drink this.
All right. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Thanks for bringing the double.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've been sipping on it over here. This is just as classic as it gets, and it just takes me back to that time as well. Just like day drinking at Nachbar, and like I remember that you drink these out of the giant boot, and then there's always that one time when you drink out of the boot when it gets below the like toe, and then like the whole glug comes out. So like, I love that. But yeah, this takes me back there. It's great.
Can you guys like? Is it agreeable that this is so smooth that you could see, if you didn't do your research correctly, that you wouldn't think that this was an 8.2?
No. I in fact had the exact same experience as you one time. I was up there with pal Stuart, and he was like, "Oh, you got one of those go to sleep beers," and I was like, "I don't know what that means." And he's like, "About 2 of them, you'll be asleep." And I was like, "You're right."
Yeah, so I brought 2 of them. I'm crashing here tonight, baby.
I'm getting like reverse roofied.
Oh God!
No, but it's so sweet and it's so smooth and like
so much.
Just classic, just completely classic.
So I feel like everybody that we talk to, especially on this podcast, they all have a Whole Foods background.
Mm-hmm.
That is Whole Foods definitely. I can't speak to the now of it all. I don't know a lot of people who still work at the location that I worked at.
Post Bezos.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. But it was supremely it was a very autonomous focus. If you did have a job like beer buyer, I did, or any buyer for that matter, I did end up transferring back to the department after 2 beer buyers left, including the person that I mentioned earlier. I basically just forced my way into that job. I went back to the people who led that department. I said, come on, like, and so that was an extremely formative time in my beer loving. It's probably the most formative time in my beer loving career. And I think the reason, especially like Scott kind of mentioned this as well, the reason why is that it's kind of a tricky situation because you have full autonomy to build this program the way that you want to build the program, basically, but you're essentially working for an extremely large organization, and you get, for better or worse, you get the blessing of playing with money that is not your own. So it's not the same as like, owning your own business or something like that. Like it was almost like an infinite budget style thing. So we could, pick up everything from Merchant du Vin or Be United, which Schneider is distributed from. But that's, that's one reason why that's probably so ubiquitous with a lot of beer people is, Liz was there too. When Liz from formerly of West Six, you get a lot of fun beers to play with. And, the best part about all that is that when you're in your own little department, there used to be kind of a bonus structure that was a monthly, like labor-based bonus structure. So it really incentivized you to do the best that you could and, essentially make the most profit that you could too. And so that was something that I kind of poured over even in my off time, is looking at stock reports from all of the distributors and seeing what do we not carry that we can actually fill the shelves with. And that'll be interesting for people. And it was, I'm not going to lie, it was badass. Like we would have these events on Fridays that
I remember those. Yeah.
Like 100 to 250 people would come into just for the beer. That was a salad days type of thing.
I remember you guys did like a beer festival in the parking lot one year.
Yeah,
like,
that was totally the brainchild of the original beer buyer that I mentioned, who is now I still believe to be a math teacher. So yeah, but yeah, that was there was the festival out in the parking lot, and we did beer and cheese dinners and would sell tickets, and they would always sell out. It was pretty thrilling.
Those days are gone.
Those days are gone.
They're gone.
I haven't bought beer at Whole Foods for a long time. I'm sure the selection is still fine, but I have no idea what it looks like these days.
A lot of great folks still work there. And, especially the person in charge of beer now is just a fabulous human being. Excellent. Who's really passionate about getting good stock in, and really happy to work with people like me, who, and just numerous other suppliers and distributors to get really good stuff back in there. And I'm excited for what's going to be built in that building.
It seemed like, back then, even around that era, that's when craft beer in Louisville and everywhere was really kind of starting to come into like the craziness that it is now in terms of just new brands coming in, hype beers, hyper local stuff coming up. Yeah. How'd you stay abreast of kind of what you were seeking out? Did you kind of look like different breweries to work with? Did you rely on your distributing network for that? Like
you read the stock reports.
Yeah.
That's actually, that's in very large part, that was one thing, but
into stocks.
I read the stock reports. That was there were a few elements to that. If you were a supplier and you weren't going to Whole Foods at that time, you were doing it wrong, which is to say, I met everybody when I was in that position. People came in because they knew that there was a big possibility that whether it was myself or my friend Luke, who was also a beer buyer there before me, or Angela, if they go in there, there is a chance that you could get a 25 to 80 case display, which is, especially from my perspective now, that would be pure joy, and with the confidence that it would sell through. So I talked to that's where I met so many people in their babyest forms. Mike Nolan working for Flat 12, Liz worked for Lexington Brewing, worked for West Six after that. People who work, Caitlin who works at West Six, worked for Sterling. Oh, yeah. That was the first beer rep that I ever met in that job, actually. Caitlin Kohlberg. So people wanted to come in and do good business with you, and that was awesome. On the opposite end of that, my introverted side really kind of assisted that as well, because I would leave work, go back to my apartment. Actually, I'm going to correct that. I would leave work and I would go to BBC St. Matthews.
Oh, yes.
And I would
R.I.P.
drink. I would drink 40 ounces of beer in 1 hour and then go home. This is very joyful for me. I'm not lying. I would just put on my good headphones, sit on the floor, and look at all these stock reports that I would have.
Sitting on the floor at BBC St. Matthews.
No.
Okay. I missed that step.
And listen to like Trent Reznor instrumentals or whatever, and drink wine out of the bottle, and just look at.
Light some candles.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it's very, very zen. Very much
it's self-care, ladies and gentlemen.
The image in my head is Willem Dafoe in the Irish movie, Boondock Saints. And how he's nice. Has the orchestra playing in his head while he's figuring things out.
That's awesome. I'm not gonna lie. It felt. I look back on that time very fondly because I would just stay up all night and I would look at these stonk reports that I had my distributor reps send me, and then research all the beer on the internet and buy everything that Dauntless RIP had and sell it as a single on the warm wall. Mm-hmm. And I had this goal to fill up and do one SKU facing so there was not a double facing of anything. And almost made it. But yeah, there you go. I don't know.
Yeah. And I think you transitioned from there, talking about the distribution side. So you your next transition in your career was to move from, being the beer buyer there to, did you go to one of the distributors here in town?
Yeah. I worked for Beer House Distributors for a little while, which was also a thrill.
Did you have was that an intentional choice, or did you have something that you liked about that led you there? Or what was that like for you?
He was too good at buying.
He needed to start selling.
It's like, I'm up reading these things all night. I'm going to start making them. I'm going to make these sheets.
I'm not the only example of this. There are still several folks working on the retail tier that can attest to this. When you are good at buying on the retail level, it is extremely difficult to get a job in distribution or in supply, because people want to keep you in that retail space because they do good business with you. I won't sugarcoat it. Like, I worked at Whole Foods for 7 years, and I didn't mean to work there for even 2 years. But things in my life were changing in a way where that wasn't exactly an emotionally responsible application to the work that I wanted to do, if that makes any sense. So I applied to every brewery under the sun. I've applied to any American brewery that you can imagine that had jobs on BevForce. I applied to several European breweries.
Kieran?
I did not yet. Yeah. That would come later. But I also literally applied to, at the time there were 5 beer distributors. I applied to 4 out of the 5. Because I did interview with some companies while I was at Whole Foods on the supply side, one of which was Bell's, for a job based out of Cincinnati in 2015. But out of all of the distributors, and I interviewed with several of them, Beer House has just a fabulous craft portfolio. And that was also had friends that worked there, friends that were also excited and could share their positive feedback with me about their jobs. And I really, really wanted to work there. So I interviewed with them in December 2015, and I didn't hear back. And then one day I drove into the Whole Foods parking lot and just looked at the facade of the building and just went, I can't. And I guessed the sales manager's email address based on somebody else who worked for the company's email address that I knew, and just did like a way too late, thank you for the interview type of email. And then I got a call while I was on my shift from the local sales manager here.
Beautiful.
And he said, I don't know what you did, buddy, but it worked. You're hired. And I was like,
oh no.
I was like, oh, that's so great. And that was that really fired off one of the better times in my beer life, for sure. That was a really enjoyable experience working at Beer House.
So what was that like on the ground? Did you kind of probably get to make a lot of fun relationships that way, I'd imagine, both with the people you're selling it to, but then also the people you guys, source it from and stuff like that. Were there any kind of standout moments or sales or new products that you guys brought in that stick out in your memory?
Yeah, I ran a route. It was a very hefty route. That was when I took it on was about 90 accounts, and ended after about a year and a half. I worked there for about a year and a half with 160 accounts.
Wow.
It's a lot of
And that went from that route extended from, downtown Louisville accounts to Elizabethtown. So my entire Wednesday was, if I woke up at 5:45, I was already late, basically. And just Mad Max style driving down Dixie Highway. And I kind of just really focused on selling the things that I personally really liked. And I still am, probably will always be big Dogfish fan. That is just ingrained in my childlike craft beer lovingness, just everything about Sam and Dogfish. And we would get in like 20 kegs of this insane beer that nobody's ever heard of. And I would just look it up online and be like, okay, I got to get somebody to pick this up so I can try this. And then you try it and then be like, holy shit. And then sell 18 of the 20 kegs, basically. We met. I'll say that. Like, we were a very tight crew. We kind of had a satellite. The Beer House Louisville team had kind of a satellite office and the patio of Flanagan's, so that was kind of where we always ended our day. And Beer House will send you on some really, really cool trips. Like, I know I have friends that still work there that have gone to Europe with Be United
Nice.
to go visit there, and I was not one of those people, but I did. Like, distribution is a really rocking job if you want to go check out some cool breweries and travel around the country in a way that maybe you wouldn't be able to if it weren't for the job that you did.
Well, didn't you go on a visit to the Dogfish Head Hotel?
Yeah, and that was still to this day. You just gave me goosebumps. I'm not gonna front. Yeah, it was like my favorite trip that I've ever been on. I've talked to my girlfriend numerous times, like, we have to go stay in the Dogfish Inn, even though you don't drink alcohol. You care about beer less than most other alcoholic products, even if you did. But being in Delaware in that space is so amazing. And the Dogfish Inn is like, the amenities are really great, and it's like you're living in a Wes Anderson movie.
Nice.
Too. The brew pub at Dogfish is amazing. The brewery is just totally insane. They really, really did it up for us. I didn't even know that I was competing for an incentive trip when they told me that I won this trip. And
God, you're so good at selling.
I know. Thank you.
Buying and selling.
Yeah. Yeah. All thanks to Syracuse and Nera. I don't know if you ever had that stout, but I became obsessed with that very jammy stout that they came out with. And I was like, I'm selling all 20 of these kegs. And that's exactly what
Hell yeah,
happens.
that's
I thought it
rad.
was going to be raisin to extra
I remember that one. Yeah, that's still
I don't
out
think
there.
I ever had that, actually.
or higher math.
I fuck with 90 Minute all day long. I love that beer. It's great.
And then
Forward.
you were so good at selling that a brewery picked you up and said, only sell our stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that was Mad Tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of Cincinnati.
And that's where we met. Like, we didn't meet
Yeah,
at a
buddy.
Ween concert where you got on stage and got kicked off. But we did
Did you
meet.
guys actually talk to Bobby?
Who's Bobby?
That was the day I met him. There's not a lot of people who know that story.
But we did meet once you started working for Mad Tree, or maybe slightly before that. Probably when you were at Beer House. But I know we started working together a lot. When you
Yeah,
were
that
at
is
Mad
when
Tree.
we- you know what? I'm not going to clear my name about that Wayne situation. It was a totally fine situation. Did I deserve to be kicked out of that show? Probably, but I didn't do anything wrong. I just really wanted to dance on stage.
Yeah,
so.
win in Rome, you know?
Yeah.
Win in Wien.
2008. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. And I was actually thinking about that today, David. What did we first really hang out? Was it at Zaz? Did we do that thing at
It
Zaz?
sounds likely.
Yeah. Yeah, I know we did a Mad Tree event at Butchertown Social. We did a Mad Tree Kentucky Beer Network event there.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That's when we first started hanging out. But
The-
yeah, Mad Tree out of Cincinnati. I maneuvered from Beer House into Mad Tree whenever Mad Tree launched in Kentucky.
I remember the launch. I remember meeting up with you all at River City Draft House, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the 2,000 events we did in 3 weeks to launch that brand. Yeah.
Hey, you guys did a good job because Mad Tree really took off, it seems to me. Like,
Yeah.
they
They
grew
came in
great. And,
blazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
lots
yeah.
of beers out on the market these days. You see them everywhere.
Yeah, that was that was like my first big experience with dealing with like a core group of flagship beers with a brewery. And then also like, hey, here's something brand new, like what we consider an LTO, a limited time offer, every 3 weeks. So I was
It's limited.
Yeah.
21 days.
Yeah.
That's all you can get.
How many kegs do you want? 8. How do you sell all 8? Do 8 events. So that was that was a story there. But no, that was awesome. That was a really great group of people to work with. Shout out Andrew Carley. You guys should definitely talk to Andrew and Laura, who is the Kentucky rep for Mad
Yeah,
Tree.
we'd love
that
to.
would be a lot of fun. Andrew's like an OG. He used to work for Victory. He was like the second beer rep that I ever met. So super great group of people to work with, and I was just totally in love with that core group of beers, and going up to the brewery, which is absolutely beautiful in Cincinnati. Now it's even more beautiful. It's basically botanical garden when you go in there.
Yeah, we went. we took a bus up there. We worked together, and I booked a tour bus, sold tickets to the bus. All you got was the ride, which was far cheaper than an Uber to Cincinnati, and filled the bus and was like, "Hey, you can bring a couple of beers on." Little did I know people would be thrashed by the time we got to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
One person so much that they had been not drinking before their wedding, and then they were like, "Oh, this is too much."
Yeah, you can't really reintroduce your drinking life.
But we arrived at what was Mad Tree 2.0, I guess. And it's probably like 8.0 at this point. That they keep moving.
Yeah, well, they just I believe last year, maybe the year before, introduced kind of a like mid to fine dining restaurant concept, the Alcove downtown, and now I think they have like a rec. I don't exactly know what it is, but like a recreational type of brewery, like
it's pickleball.
Where you can play, probably. Yeah, there you go.
It's all pickleball.
Classic craft beer.
And so, kind of walk us through how you landed your next role. Because the next move for you, Bells?
It was Bells.
Yeah, and I mean, from people, in the craft beer industry, Bells has been since the very beginning of the craft beer boom, along with Sierra Nevada, and I mean, I would put Dogfish and Sam Adams in that list, but they were one of the, and maybe Stone, back in the day.
Yeah, they
were top tier from the very beginning in terms of just kind of being a juggernaut, and one that was always really well respected for business practices, let alone the product speaks for itself. I think. How'd you land that one, and how did it feel? Or like, I don't know, were you nervous, or were you like intimidated, or on cloud 9?
All of those things.
Yeah.
I had mentioned before that I had met a man. I want to shout him out. His name is Greg Pilch. He will never listen to this, but he is I don't know, he's like 58. He's not gonna listen.
Start
to
targeting him.
His ears still work, dog.
Yeah, we still work together, so we'll see how that lands. But no, it's actually former I guess friend of the pod, Brittany Donahue, one of her mentors as well. I met Greg, who I would end up working for essentially. He's based out of Cincinnati, and I met him when I worked at Whole Foods, and he gave me a shirt. I was like, you know how starry-eyed you get whenever stuff like that happens, and he just seemed like a really cool guy. And then once you hang out with him, his interests, especially in bourbon, aligned with mine, and I applied for this job out of Cincinnati, and it got down to myself and one other person, and the other person got this job. And he's an absolutely fabulous dude. He works for Westside now. Shout out to Matt and Westside. I've never had any of their beers, but
Westside?
Is that what is that place? I don't know that place.
It's a Kentucky brewery.
Okay.
Jeez.
I don't know this place. This place, I don't know.
There's so many new breweries in Kentucky. It's
I don't
hard to keep
know.
track.
I don't know. But he, much like the other Friday conversation that I had at Whole Foods when I got hired at Beer House, except the opposite. He called me on a Friday, like about an hour before Friday Night Flights, the big hundreds of people event that happened. And he said, I wish I had better news for you. You really need distribution experience. Please keep at it. I was like, okay. And then I went and I worked for a distributor. And these situations are rare because when you work in supply away from your home brewery, there's usually one employee in the state or 2 in these smaller states. Sometimes, you go down to Florida, it's like there's 10 people or whatever, but here there was 1. And you really, if you want to stay where you're living and work for a certain company, then that person has to vacate that job. And that happens very rarely. And then those jobs become very competitive. Well, that happened in 2018. And I called Greg and I said, hey, you remember a few years ago when you said I had to work in distribution? Guess what?
I did it.
I did. And
He's like, oh, I was just kidding.
Yeah, that was a pretty close call because there's also a very, very fabulous former beer rep that also went for that job that I introduced to Greg at Tailspin one year. And he said, I just want to let you know you're going against this person. And I immediately was like, shit. Like I really, really stepped in it by just being kind and introducing this person.
Damn, Brittany.
But no, it actually ended up working out. And I worked in, I got the job and I just had my 5-year Bell's anniversary, as we call it, Bell's anniversary, 3 weeks ago. And I started running around the whole state and freaking out.
That's how you sell beer, ladies.
Where's all the Two-Hearted at?
Yeah.
I need more.
Well, the really great thing about that is that at that time, and this is in no way to discredit the distributors that we work through now, but it was such a great transition because the distributor for Bell's was Beer House, and I already had those relationships with not only distributor reps, which is really important in terms of like meeting the goals of your sales and all that, but also there was a time where it honestly couldn't have been I was gonna say easier, and I will say easier. I don't mean to be flippant, but that's we were their number 1 brand when we were still with that distributor. I had great friends who worked there on every level. I super admire, for numerous crazy reasons, the owner of that distributorship, who's a very eccentric person that I believe people know. But that was a really smooth transition to be able to start working in supply, start working for a brewery that was already distributed by a place that I used to work at. So
yeah, that's incredibly cool. So I guess the next thing really, what was it like going through? When did you guys first find out about the merger with New Belgium? Was that kind of like,
this is great?
Because I think there was rumors going around that like something was going to happen. I can't remember exactly how I heard about it, but
New
like
Belgium.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah,
that's good.
No one's ever said that before.
I'm sure that's original.
I'll tell you what, not to put the cart before the horse here, or Tarantino this, but the day that we were all up in Michigan, we had just literally heard from Larry Bell himself that he was retiring and that the company was to be sold. I shit you not, it was less than 1 hour later, I got a text from shout out Aaron Wilkins from Mile Wide that just said New Belgium. What? And then he said, you can have that one. I was like, all right, I'll take that one.
I
am gonna pop this.
I did not take that from here.
Yeah.
I literally thought that I created that out of my brain.
Well,
well,
you can have that. I'll tell you what Aaron told me.
All right, I'll tell you what Aaron told me. Dude knows his hot sauces.
Who, me?
Yeah.
You?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. A little bit.
A little bit.
Do we want to talk about hot sauce now?
Well,
Really amazing
so no,
references.
but so this is. I mean, we're talking about Aaron Wilkins from Mile Wide, which is exactly what he wants to hear. But no, I feel like I feel like I see you at Mile Wide pretty often. Like that's a regular stop for you. It's a regular stop for me. We've had a lot of good memories at Mile Wide.
Yeah.
So much so that you're such a fan that you actually had your birthday party there.
Oh, you want to talk about the playlist?
Yes.
Man.
Tell me about the Wu-Tang Paramore
The
playlist.
Wu-Tang and Paramore playlist.
Wu-Tang more.
You're the
You can
same
keep
guy
that. You
today.
can keep that.
Yeah.
I knew the Paramore was going to come up during this. Okay, I think it was 2019. By the way, there's some good shit with your questions, so we should get back.
Yeah,
to
sure.
that. Yeah.
Let's do Wu-Tang first.
Yeah, let's do the Aaron Wilkins section of the podcast first.
We're not giving that to him.
I guess it was 2019. I went up to Scott and Schreffler from My Wide and
Friend of the pod.
friend of the pod. Excuse me.
To preclude this, when you go to Mile Wide, if you ask them to put on a song, the bartender will promptly respond, "We don't take requests."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just asked Scott I was forthright. I was like, listen, this is what I want to do for my birthday this year. I've been coming here since day one. Like I said, 2019. I had been going there since day one. I still am going there. I was like, I don't even have 10 friends. I'm just going to invite like a few people. It'd be really fun if we can listen to Wu-Tang and Wu-Tang affiliates. And then also, I'm not trying to box anybody out who's going to, like it's to be fair to the guests that are already there. Maybe they just don't want to listen to, a bunch of Ghostface. So we'll pepper in some Paramore. And Scott Scheffler said, we're releasing Uncle Disheveled that day, right? And I said, I don't give a shit. So he gave me the go-ahead. I made a Wu-Tang and Paramore playlist because I've been...
Because Money Baby needed to fly, stretch the wings.
I've been following Wu-Tang since I was a child, and I've somehow discovered the band Paramore. I feel like you're going to play a song.
No. But Wu-Tang is for the children.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And so I was like, this is a good spectrum of music, and so I made a playlist. I believe I still have the playlist. I could send it to you guys, and you can.
I would love that.
Yeah, put it in the show notes.
Yeah, I would love that. No, so I'm sorry. So you were at Bell's. Actually, I'm sorry. You've two met before, right?
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
So the first time that I remember really just talking to you was just talking beer shit.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if it was like at Whole Foods or if it was at like Barrett Bar some random night.
Well, strangely,
but yeah.
And you can. There's one thing you can correct.
Okay.
The second part you cannot.
All right.
This is I remember it greatly. I believe we first met officially at a dinner party.
Okay.
In Louisville. You went to UK, right?
Uh-huh.
And maybe it was someone who was hosting the dinner party from Jim James' family. I feel like it was at an Olagus house.
Would it have been Patrick Callahan's wedding, maybe? The drummer from My Morning Jacket?
This was at somebody's house in some affluentish neighborhood. And it was because... Is it accurate that you played in a band called Jacob and the Furries?
No, but I off and on. Yes.
Yeah.
That was more of two of my other friends.
Yes, America.
And shout out to Jacob and the Furries, Lexington's. So everybody wore animal costumes on stage, and
Bet.
I was not a regular, but I did jam around with those guys. But two of my roommates were in that band. Tyler, shout out to Tyler Cox and Drew Combs, and of course the Jacob Gone, the Jacob of Jacob and the Furries.
What? So, a friend from my hometown, who a genius musician, who is still making money on music today, Clint Davis.
Oh, Clint! Yeah. Oh yeah, he's a virtuoso, man. Clint is the man.
I know that I went to a Jacob and the Furry show, maybe at the Dame, and then when I first met you was at this dinner party. Maybe I don't remember if it was Lindsay Volk. That name comes to mind as well. But yeah, that's where we met.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Didn't that person run for like judge or?
Yeah, she did. Yep, Lindsay Volk. Shout out. That's incredibly cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well,
that would have been 2005.
Okay. Yeah, that's. I mean, that would have been. Yeah, I mean, that's the time when Jacob and the Furries was doing the rounds.
18 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, God. I can't believe that it's been that long. It feels like another lifetime. Well, that's really cool. And I had not thought about Jacob and the Furries in about 18 years. So, yeah, that's great.
It's crazy. Like, Chris Johnson, just even before you came to Louisville, you knew so much about the Louisville music scene. Like,
that's true.
You're following Jacob and the Furries.
Well, that's why I moved here. I wanted to overdraw my bank account at Ear Ecstasy and Wendy's. And
that is also on brand for 2005.
Go to shows at Swanson Reed Gallery and Keswick Democratic Club and all that.
And get all the vinyls signed too?
Yeah, that is something I used to do for more nationally touring bands.
Oh, not the local guys, nah.
If by local you can consider me asking Jim James to sign my Morning Jacket Z record while he was performing at an in-store and him being very disappointed that I would do such a thing, then sure, local guys. Yeah.
Heavy as the head. Jim James.
You wrote that song about you, Gideon, right? That's you? No?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I think it's time for a burp break.
I was going to say, I feel like every time I ever see a Chris, we always do an Underberg at Mile Wide.
Sure.
It's usually your idea. Sometimes it's mine.
But,
they're a great friend of the show, and I was wondering if
I
you
like
could
this.
actually walk us through this Berg break today.
I will most definitely do that. Oh my God, we have some talking points here. Wow. Do you guys only do one Berg break during these?
we can take more
We've
if you
done
want.
bookended Bergs.
Oh,
when
yeah.
Jackie Zykan was on, that was her one request.
Oh, nice.
To bookend the
You
Bergs.
you can see her at SDF. You can see her at the airport.
Not well.
You can see her on our podcast
Not for
too.
much longer.
She's on the outs.
I got some scoop.
I was gonna say.
We're replacing it with a picture of Michael Mueller that
Are
he
you?
doesn't know how it got taken of him.
Are you about to admit to a soon-to-be crime, a crime of the future?
No. I just have facts.
Speaking of facts,
Excellent.
for those who don't know, sponsor of the show, right?
Yeah.
Underberg, whatever makes you feel good to say it.
Yep.
Keep your caps.
Yes, keep your caps.
Underberg is a digestif with herbs from 43 countries.
43 countries.
Unwrapped with pleasure.
I did
After
that.
a good meal.
Yeah.
Or a good beer worldwide. What? That's not even a sentence. Simple ingredients with complex character. Explore the herbal flavor of Underberg, the Rheinberg herbal digestif enjoyed for over 175 years.
That's a lot of
long
years.
time.
How many generations of excellence does this represent?
At least five.
Five,
Like I would
definitely,
guess
yeah.
5.
Yeah.
Good swing there.
You know what? I don't know why I never considered the fact that the founder of this product would be named Hubert Underberg.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't meet many Huberts anymore.
You don't meet really any Underbergs either. Yeah.
I'm gonna name my kid Underberg. Actually, that's probably a Mueller move. I won't take that from you.
I love you, Underberg, but that's not going to happen.
Launched his unique product in the market in 1846 after many years of careful development. This experience, Hubert's experience,
Yeah.
and knowledge regarding how to carefully extract the valuable herbal essences.
Woo-hoo.
Good job, guys.
Uh-huh.
Shampoo. Wait, we're done? Okay.
Before we take this, I just want to know what your first experience with Underberg was like. Do you remember your first? After all the thousands that you've done over the years,
I must have
probably
been
hard.
with the Dauntless guys. Probably Nachbar. Also probably Kaiju.
Yeah.
It is just a wonderful what's the word I'm looking for here? Not tradition, but
A little break.
Celebration.
celebration. Yeah, like there's a better word I'm looking for here, but it's
it's kind of a way.
ritual. It's a ritual.
Yeah. A way to put a cap on something, or to like make something,
Or take a cap off.
commemorative,
On
or take a
something,
cap
yeah.
off. Yeah, save the cap. We did just do what, at least as far as we know, of the largest group
Toast.
Underberg
toast. That at the Kentucky Craft Bash last week.
Oh, nice.
We went through, how many were in that case? We went through most of it, 100 and something,
Probably closer to 80. But
80. Yeah, well, we went through
Something
most
like
of
that.
them. So
Did you have 80 people at once?
Yeah.
yeah,
Close. Yeah, there
a
was
few
a
people
lot.
trickled in. They did a second one because
See,
they missed the
that's
first
fun.
one, but it
See,
was really fun.
That's some of the fun you can have.
That's the ritual.
That's
Thanks,
the ritual.
Underberg.
Cheers.
Thanks,
y'all.
Hubert.
And if you guys haven't tried an Underberg, find them at pretty much any of your local like tap rooms and bars, etc. Or just follow Michael Mueller on Instagram. He shares all the great spots.
Love that aftertaste.
Is that-
And then, yes, of course, keep your caps. Get prizes.
Keep your
I will never forget, Mike, when I had saved up about 1,000 caps because I had these big ideas to get all kinds of different things off the website. And then when my girlfriend and I moved in together, we had to consolidate a lot of our items. And I was like, this is stupid. And I'm not going to be able to pass this through quality control to get the truck and pretend that it's for my cat. And so
That's a lucky cat.
So I took a gigantic gallon bag of 1,000 caps to Mile Wide and asked one of Megan, shout out Megan, if she could order me some rummy cards and they could have the rest of them. And when I told you that I had done that the week before, the sheer disappointment in your eyes made me feel like the worst friend of all time.
I don't remember this at all. So
Well, the whole purpose of this podcast is for us to save up enough to get like the giant truck.
I want the
So,
XL truck.
Yeah,
when we get
yeah.
it, you can come over and we can play with it together.
Oh yeah, I'll bring Franz the cat over.
Yeah,
so you
yeah,
can do
the
that, yeah.
the literal, I think it's literally 25,000 caps for like the big XL.
We saw one
truck.
in Nashville.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
No way.
At no quarter.
No quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do they
Franz would have fit in the back of that thing. Like it was a solid like 18, 20 pounds.
Yeah.
Do they even advertise that on the website? On the
I think
like,
I think they started to. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The more you know.
Someday.
Yeah.
It's important to have goals, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Look at all that I'm
Absolutely.
learning from Kentucky Commons Radio Hour.
Yeah.
This is, yeah.
I'm wearing a great shirt that you actually gave me at one point.
Mhm.
It was a Two-Hearted shirt.
Yes.
I love the branding. In fact, John, why don't you take out some of those cans that Chris
Yeah.
brought,
Oh, we're doing
and
this.
believe this is the first show and tell beer.
Oh, wow. Yeah, my other show and tell thing is over there. So
I'll get it.
thank you.
I remember.
I'm gonna burp. I'm Ember. Thank you.
The Aventinus is a sit in your tank can develop a little gas.
Yeah.
It's a
Oh,
big
that's
boy.
just that's why I drink Underbergs. It's like my whole life.
Yeah.
I'm a heartburn boy. So thank you, sir. Do we want to go back to the big day?
Please. Yeah. Just walk us through that like emotional journey.
It's
Because I'm
actually,
sure it was like
yeah.
strange to live through, but I bet it was like, I mean, because you guys were all kind of in the same boat. Like, whoa, what the is gonna happen?
Yeah. Look at this.
Drinking a Two-Hearted.
Two-Hearted.
Talking about
Alright.
Two-Hearted.
Probably one of the most classic, iconic American IPAs, if not
Speaking of-
the.
Speaking of Nachbar,
I used to that was my jam. $4
Yeah.
Two-Hearted at Nachbar.
Still my
Yeah.
jam.
Yep. That's like the Costco hot dog. I'm pretty sure you can still go in there and get like a $4 Two-Hearted at Nachbar.
yeah, I believe that's on Mondays.
Yeah.
No, it could be on Tuesdays, Two-Hearted Tuesday.
Can we get Costco to sell Two-Hearted?
They probably have before.
We have, that's a loaded question. We can talk about that off mic, but
Sounds good.
they do a couple times a year.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's in a club pack, and it's at a good price.
Yeah, they kind of
Yeah.
make you give them a good deal, but they do buy a lot.
Yeah,
It seems like.
for sure.
Speaking
No.
of buying a lot of things, New Belgium.
Yeah, okay, there you go. I was looking for the segue, and David found it, and yet somehow made it awkward. So here we are. Yeah. So talk us through the day.
Sure. So that was, I want to key in on one thing you mentioned. You said that there were rumors. You could have thrown that right past me because I had no fucking clue. I shouldn't have said that, but I had no clue. And this was such a wonderful experience. I don't know how familiar you guys are with Kalamazoo, but there is just a cool little thrivant downtown area, and the eccentric cafe, the Bell's Eccentric Cafe, is just ever so off the beaten path from that. But there's a place I love to eat at called Burdick's. It's essentially like kind of a local TGI Fridays, basically.
Hell yeah.
And it's also in a hotel that we often stay in, or close to another hotel that we stay in. And I was there with my coworker Dan, who lives in South Bend, Indiana. This was 2021, and it was yes, it was 2021.
That sounds about right.
And we were told we go up there for an event as a sales team every year, either the national sales team meeting or what's called Skills Week, which is just like the whole brewery process shuts down for 1 week and everybody from the company gets together and we do cool company things and eat a lot of food, and it's a really good time. And we hadn't done that since pandemic shut down, and we were led to believe that we were not going to do that at all. And then it was like September or October. It was like, surprise, we're doing this in the beginning of November, which is not the time that Skills Week ever was. That was usually in September. I was like, all right, cool. I'll take any opportunity to go up to Kalamazoo because that's always a great time. And we went up there, and flash forward to me and Dan being in Burdick's. I get a text message from friend of the pod, Brittany Donahue from New Belgium Brewing. And Dan and I are watching an NBA game and drinking bourbon, and Brittany sends me a text that says, "Are you ready to get our shit rocked tomorrow?"
Hell yeah.
If Brittany Donahue texted me that, I'd be like, oh Lord, what's gonna happen?
Yeah. And me and Brittany go back. We're close. We're friends. I had no idea what the hell she was talking about. And I was like, I sent back like, what are you talking about? And she said, do you seriously not know? And I said, I seriously don't know. And she said, we've got people in Kalamazoo right now. Apparently Larry's going to announce his retirement and the sale of the company to the company that owns both Bell's and New Belgium now, Lion Little World, which is very confusing because of the ubiquity of Mumford and Sons songs.
Yeah.
But
Mumford and Sons.
but she was like, "You seriously didn't know about this?" I'm like, "Dude, I had no idea." And she said, "Don't say a word." She was like, "I know it's tomorrow morning, but don't say a word." First
She
thing,
just told
Certainly
you.
don't text people and say, you ready to get our shit rocked.
well, the first thing I did is I looked at Dan and I said numerous words. I was like, "Look at this shit," and he was like, "What?" I was like, "I don't know."
Don't tell anybody, Dan.
Yeah. No, I'm an anxious kid, so I certainly was like, "Dan, don't say anything." But again, like the guy who was the area manager for both Dan's and my division, he called it a night early, but his hotel room was right next to mine, and so I texted him and I said, "You up?" It was like 11:45, and he was like, "Yeah, what's up?" And I was like, "I'm coming back to the hotel right now. I gotta talk to you about something." And
God, if I got a text
I
like
know.
that, my
yeah, I
heart would be
know. Look at that.
racing.
Yeah. No, it was a bad move on my part.
Listen,
And so
listen. In
he,
15 minutes, we're gonna get our shit rocked. I need help.
At exactly 12:01 a.m., we're gonna
Start a pot of coffee.
we're gonna hear from Larry Bell.
That would be baller. If
I
he
went
just
up
came
to,
out 12:01.
Yeah.
Suit.
Yeah.
I'm out. Goodbye.
Bilbo Baggins style.
I approached Kevin's hotel room and he answered the door in his in a t-shirt and underwear, and he was watching Looney Tunes. I swear to God, that's true. And I was like, "Look at this," and I showed him my phone, and he was like, "I don't know anything about this." And having nothing to do with Brittany's text to me at all, we all got together the next morning, and everybody was like, "Oh man, something's happening now." And we went into this event center to listen to Larry mention, this is a family-owned business and I'm ready to retire, and no one in the family wants to take this over. So we have sold to Lion Little World. And there were a lot of emotions about that from a lot of people. I'm not gonna front. I was like, cool, like, do your thing, man. Yeah. You start, like, he literally started the entire company with I don't know if you can see that, but with a stock pot. And then he sold it for a lot more money than a stock pot costs. So I was like, cool. And Brittany and I talked a little later in the day, and I still to this day feel this way. Like, I admire New Belgium so much. When I worked at Whole Foods, we did a massive New Belgium launch when they first came to Kentucky. And not to stunt on any other craft breweries at all, but if it were anybody else, I wouldn't have been elated, and I was absolutely elated to hear this news. It's like, this is not like a sellout situation. It's like the guy started a company 35 years ago and wanted to get out. He's old. He's had some health issues and whatnot. He wants to open a piano bar in Kalamazoo. Cool. Yeah, that's rad.
Next thing you know, he's gonna be like, retirement, I'm opening a brewery. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
He's gonna buy Bell's back.
Yeah. The classic American story.
Vienna waits for him.
Indeed. It's such an aligned. So did that happen before or after Dogfish Head and Sam Adams?
That happened after.
Okay, so you guys were the first kind of big. Or yours happened after Dogfish Head. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was the first one that's like, oh shit. And in my opinion, I think that was kind of where we started a new generation of what craft beer means in America. As we often say, maybe quoting Sam Cruz, we can't remember anymore, but craft beer is dead, like, and we have killed it, and there's not enough Underberg in the world to wash away the blood. But like,
that sounds way too Victorian for Sam Cruz.
Yeah. Craft beer is dead. I think just put it at that. But the defining element of craft is always like, what's the old joke is like, it's one barrel less than like whatever, or more rather than whatever Sam Adams makes.
Oh yeah.
And it's kind of going back to how it was before Prohibition, where there's no real distinction between, like, I mean, we have garage beer on the table. It's just like a nice American lager. I destroy the 12 packs of lager on the lakes, like from Bell's. That is one of my favorite summer beers. So that was when it started to seem like the playing field was changing, at least to me, and that we weren't defining ourselves primarily or necessarily, like, the whole identity of craft beer was no longer about just the uniqueness or the cultural thing. We kind of started to become an economic force that would be able to compete with the bigger entities like AB InBev or like Miller Coors or Molson. A lot of which are owned by these international conglomerates as well. So it kind of started to make everything come onto an even playing field. And that's when is like craft beer is not dead, but now it's a new thing.
What are you talking about?
It like went to the next form of Pokemon when that happened. You know, like the Charmander
You're swinging
became
it back
the
around, yeah.
Chard
Zard.
Zilla or whatever. Yeah, the Charizard.
So yeah,
And then
so
when-
you agree?
Yeah.
So that's when at least to me I started just thinking about the dollars and cents of it all, like looking at my stonks, and it's like, oh, the game just totally changed now. Like it's not craft beer versus the world anymore. Craft beer has kind of come into maturity at this point. And I mean, Larry Bell is a perfect example of that because he was one of the founders, and it's like, I mean, people have a lifespan.
Yeah.
And I'll rant for 10 more seconds and I'll turn it
Larry
over.
Bell didn't work at Founders. Is that what you said?
Shut up. But he created a company that eventually you have to get yourself out of your own company one way or another because, I mean, you're going to like plots at some point. So having that, like, the fact that it really hasn't seemed to change at all since all that I mean, Bell's Too Hard, it still tastes exactly the same.
Yeah.
The culture is exactly the same. It seems to me, at least from the outside. So I guess the point of that rant was just to say it's really cool to see craft beer becoming such a force.
Yeah.
And the mergers and acquisitions, that's the stuff that happens in big beer and big business world.
Mhm.
The fact that like craft beer's kind of grown up into that, I think is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
So the question is, if you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be? That's what I was trying to get to with all that.
a Bell's Two-Hearted tree.
Yeah, really, yeah.
If you were a tire, what kind of tire would you be?
A thin one.
just tell people why it's called Two Hearted. Not you, John. Chris.
Wait, do you not know?
No, I know. I
Oh.
think people would like to know.
It's named after the Two-Hearted River in Michigan. Yeah. Old Larry Bell. Yeah, I don't know why I said that. Larry Bell.
Old man Bell over there up in Kalamazoo.
He's Larry Bell's a big bookhead too, just like your boy is, and really liked a lot of poetry and novella writing and whatnot from Walt Whitman and writers of the ilk. And yeah, there's Michigan there's a big wide world up in Michigan, and I had no idea that it was as big or as wide as it was until I started working for this company. And when I was in Kalamazoo for training, and I was outside with some people, and they were like talking about the Upper Peninsula. I was like, man, I'd love to go there. How far away is that from here? And they were like, 8.5 hours from
Yeah.
Kalamazoo. And I was like, oh, I can drive from one side of Kentucky to the other in like 4. So
I've been to UP.
Yeah.
UP is awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a bucket list place for me. I would love to go up there for sure. But yeah, it's named after a waterway.
Has this beer been around since the 90s?
I would
has
think so.
indeed.
It's
Excuse
one
me.
of the OG kind
Mhm.
of punk beers.
Yeah.
Good.
This recipe has been around since 1997.
Perfect.
Original Two Hearted was brewed in 1992. I don't know what that beer was, but this beer that we're drinking right now is what? What are you doing?
Hi.
Are you trapping me?
No, continue.
It was 1997.
Thank you.
Yeah, look at that.
And when I go to shows, a lot of the time, if there's a Two Hearted can available, I'm like, I don't care. Give me a Two Hearted. That's it. Because I don't want to stand at my spot at the show and have to run back 100 times because I'm drinking a 4% lager. So I will just get 2 Two Hearteds, double fist them,
Mhm.
maybe share some with my buddy so it doesn't get too warm, and then have 2
Yeah.
Two Hearteds. Good to go.
Tell all your local venues how you feel.
I just did.
It's the perfect like festival concert beer, honestly. It really is.
And just to say that this beer kind of pairs with music a little bit, I think we would like to do a little game with you.
Okay.
If you could re-embody the persona of DJ Money Baby just for a little while.
Okay.
Yeah, just feel that DJ Money Baby in your soul.
I see the title.
You were such a big fan of our segment, Scotty or Naughty. We decided to name your own segment. This is going to be Chrissy or Missy, where you get to rate 90s albums with a Chrissy,
Thumbs up.
Oh,
thumbs up, or a Missy.
Thumbs
man.
down.
I'm glad I brought so much beer. We're gonna be here for a while.
No, I only did 5 because I figured it'd take you an hour.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to give explanations or
So the first
Okay.
album from the 90s that I would like you to award either a Chrissy and maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a Chrissy and a Missy, but I would like you just pick one if you can. Siamese Dream by Smashing Pumpkins.
That's an insanely massive Chrissy for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Smashing Pumpkins guy.
Yeah. Well, you assume too much,
Okay.
my friend.
That's just how I
he
feel about
is.
Smashing
He
Pumpkins,
loves
too.
Billy Corgan.
Yeah.
Wait,
He's
do you
a
know?
weird-
Did I tell you that story too?
Oh, I was there.
You were wait, what? You were there for what?
Tell the audience certainly hasn't heard it.
Wait, what's your story?
I just heard we just ranted about Billy Corgan for a while.
Oh, okay. Well,
'Cause I'm not a fan.
man, this is great. I don't have to be filtered about the Smashing Pumpkins the way I do
No.
just about the beer industry.
No.
This is
Yeah,
great.
let her-
yeah.
let
So you can say whatever you want.
Here, I'm gonna drink some more Aventinus.
Yeah, bro. Let's go.
This is great. My girlfriend's siblings were just in town from Florida visiting us, and I just gave Taylor a billion CDs because she drives a car that still has a CD player,
Nice.
which is awesome. And one of the CDs I gave her was the album that came out before Siamese Dream, which is Gish, which is another massive Chrissy, baby.
Another Mile beer?
What?
Another Mile beer?
It's also a Mile beer. That's true. And I don't know. I'm not going to talk an hour about this. Long story short, those two albums are absolute classics. I owned them both. I owned originals on vinyl, and when I used to get stuff signed, this is how sad the story is. I was hanging
this is
out.
how you pissed Billy Corgan as well.
Yeah. I was hanging out with my friend Dylan one night, 2009 maybe, and Smashing Pumpkins, which was at that time just Billy Corgan and three people who were not remotely close to original members, were playing at the Palace. Did I want to go to the show? Did I go to the show? No. I asked Dylan, I was like, I got these records. Do you want to just go and try to like meet Billy Corgan and see if we can get him signed? He was like, fuck yeah. So we like 10:45 p.m. one night drove behind the Louisville Palace, and I brought both these records. And he was such a douchebag to so many people. There was a gentleman standing at the front of this like small, like 25, maybe 30 people waiting outside their tour bus. Billy Corgan walked up to him and he literally pointed at this gentleman and he said, I recognize that guitar. And this guy said, I bought this guitar off of an eBay charity auction that you donated this to. He said, he like holds up the guitar and he said, this is what I mostly recorded Siamese Dream with. And everybody was like, oh. And then I will never forget the sentence that this man uttered. He said, it would be the honor of my life if you would sign this. And Billy goes, no.
Oh my God.
And I swear to God, there was like 20 to 30 of us out there. He goes, if I sign your guitar, I got to sign his box set. I got to sign her CD. If you want to talk about the Cubs, we can talk about the Cubs. And that's why Cubs fans are the worst.
Amazing.
Wow.
So Siamese Dream, massive Chrissy, big important album. But yeah, that's
Billy Corgan.
Gets
Missy.
messy.
Yeah.
I took both those records to Underground Sounds and sold them the next day because I couldn't stomach it.
Oh, wow, you hated him.
Pro move.
Yeesh.
Respect.
Yeah.
Respect on the name.
Number 2 is a self-titled album that's been just an earworm for the last 2 weeks. The Presidents of the United States of America and their self-titled album.
I can't sadly answer that. I do know Lump, and I do know Cleveland Rocks.
Peaches?
Oh, Peaches, of course. Yeah. But
was that a move into?
yeah. I can't claim
that's
to have
Prime.
listened to their full album.
Oh, that was
though. But I got mad love for it, especially because we got Gump out of it.
Yeah.
If that means
The
anything
Weird
to
Al
anyone.
version.
Yeah.
Gump sat alone on a bench in the horse. Yeah. My Weird Al comes back to me sometimes.
So maybe that's a Missy for Satterley.
He just kept saying life was like a
doing-
box of chocolates. Anyway.
It's fine.
It's a Missy for Saturn.
It's a Missy for Saturday. I didn't pick. I thought your knowledge was deep and wide, and while it is,
Well, I mean, yeah,
So
but
it's a mile wide.
I'm sorry. I would defy you to find anybody who listened to one of their full albums.
I
So.
certainly didn't. I know those songs and that's it.
I picked it because I have not, but I assumed you would.
I'm not that old.
Okay. This next one's probably not going to help then. The third item up for Chrissy or Missy is Hammer, which is the second album from the MC Hammer after he dropped the MC. And this album is called The Funky Headhunter.
Absolutely, Chrissy.
Yeah.
I'm not joking about that.
I've never heard of this. I've never heard the album before. So what do I need to be on the lookout? What
you know
songs,
what?
you
I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what songs are on there.
They're
I
all
don't
good.
even think
They're
it's the
all
same
good.
album. But I literally put a GIF of MC Hammer into a PowerPoint presentation I made for a professional situation that I presented information to with my company recently, because the slide was called Gaining Momentum. And there is an MC Hammer or a Hammer song called Gaining Momentum that remains in my head to this day.
I was hoping it was going to be informational about like caustic solution and I mean like can't touch this.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's
I can do that too.
Some
Like an OSHA training video.
some titles in that album is Pumps and a Bump,
Pumps and a bump.
The
Pumps
classic.
and a bump.
something for the OGs.
I think this is when he signed the Death Row Records.
Yeah, this is when he tried to be Snoop and Dre, but
something about the Goldie in me.
Okay. All right. Let's go, Hammer.
Chrissy, baby.
Automatic Chrissy.
I mean, that sound defines like a generation.
That
and
sounds just like Death Row music.
It does,
yeah,
actually,
yeah,
for sure.
yeah. It's a place and time.
Speaking of,
I grew up with Hammer and the Addams Family and his weird
Wait,
gospel songs.
Are you talking about like the Addams Family rap?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Addams Family. I remember. I can't do that one like I can do Weird Al, but I remember it. Yeah. All right, what else we got?
well, speaking of death,
The
next one.
right. It's a great transition.
Well, it was a good transition before.
That's fine.
Yeah. Morbid transitions are still fun.
Ready to Die.
It's a Chrissy for sure.
David.
Why do we even need to talk about that?
I just thought you'd have a comment. You know?
Yeah, I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. That was aggressive.
It's okay.
No, I was like inappropriately obsessed with Biggie and Tupac as a small child in Carrollton, Kentucky, to the point where I owned like Tupac poetry books that were like legit poetry books. And I remember poetry recitation in the 6th grade where they were like, you need to find a poem and memorize it, and this is a part of your grade. And I was like, I'm doing The Rose That Grew from Concrete by Tupac. And the teachers were like, you can't possibly do that. That's a rap song. And I said, oh, no. That's from a poetry book. And they were like, shit, Chris Johnson got us again.
We wanted you to do Dylan Thomas.
But
Do you still remember
I
it?
was actually the poem that I did. Oh boy, no. It was from the book, The Rose That Grew from Concrete.
Pull it up.
It's called And Tomorrow. And Tomorrow. We're not talking about Biggie though. Like,
No.
Yeah. And tomorrow I see change, a chance to grow anew. Something.
Today is filled with anger, fueled with hidden hate,
Such
scared
great.
of being outcast, afraid of common fate. Today is built on tragedies which no one wants to face. It's actually spelled with the number 2. Nightmares to humanities and morally disgraced. Tonight is filled with rage, violence in the air, children bred with ruthlessness.
I mean,
because no
that's
one
the
at home
streets.
cares.
Yeah.
And this was you in 6th grade.
Yeah, it was Miss
Carrollton?
Sapp's class.
Yeah.
That's angsty. That's so angsty.
It's not
I was
angsty if you're in the
doing
street.
shit like Horatio at the bridge in like 5th grade. So.
Oh, Captain, my captain. Yeah.
I just did dear mama, you are appreciated.
Yeah, you are appreciated. Period.
What's the other one that they make like every middle schooler memorize? It's like, and tomorrow, son, you'll be a man. Or something like that.
Like run your Kipling or something like that.
Yeah, no, exactly. It was Rudyard Kipling.
Then you will be a man, my friend, or my son, or whatever.
And you will be men, my friend.
Yeah.
You will be my man friend.
On Kentucky Commons Poetry Hour.
I'm glad I'm not crazy because that was like a shared like
be my
poem for
boyfriend.
a bunch of people. In the
Yeah,
little-
Rudyard Kipling's a psycho too. Like he was like a racist son of a bitch, and they make us learn his poetry because it's like classic or whatever. But you know,
Great music.
Tupac.
Great music.
Let's fucking
video.
I'm
go.
sorry. No, that was totally inappropriate to take any conversation about Biggie and immediately make it about Tupac. I was equally obsessed with both of those gentlemen. And what's really upsetting is that Biggie had 2 albums, the second of which came out after he died.
Posthumous.
So yeah, I was always looking for the cool beats and things that made me feel good that from my older sister's friends catalogs that I wasn't allowed to have.
100%.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But yeah, Ready to Die is absolute classic. So
Absolute banger. And the last and final one is Under the Table and Dreaming by Dave Matthews
Shit.
Band.
Somebody tell you to talk about Dave Matthews Band.
No, we know it's controversial. I know it's all playing half the time in Mile Wide's Brewery. like in the back.
No.
Kyle seems to be a big.
I doubt that.
No, in the back. Kyle's
that's
the Dave
the-
Matthews guy.
That's the Decemberists.
That too. Yeah, okay.
More or less.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna add controversy to controversy.
Mhm.
Under the Table and Dreaming is a Missy.
Okay.
Numerous other Dave Matthews albums are a big Chrissy.
Crash is pretty much the iconic one to me.
Yeah.
At least. It had some bangers.
One of my favorite albums of all time is Before These Crowded Streets. I
Yeah.
think that's a pretty perfect album, and I am I don't even think that this needs to be said, but to have to apologize for something like this, but I am a massive apologist for Dave Matthews Band, and there.
I just assumed that you hated it.
No,
That's
no,
why
no,
I asked
not at
David to
all.
put it on the list.
I hate Dave Matthews.
Oh man.
I have such mixed feelings about it.
If you would have put Before These Crowded Streets on there, I would have had a fucking meltdown. Like that. I remember I bought that album used at a Half Price Books in Washington, D.C. Because it had such an impression on me. And still to this day, my girlfriend's family they're huge music. My girlfriend's seen Tom Petty like 13 times.
Nice.
Her family is amazing with music. And my stupid ass in Florida like 6 months ago was like, you guys are really gonna like this Live Dave song. Like I'm absolutely not immune to that mentality whatsoever. Under the Table and Dreaming is there's some good stuff on there, but it's a lot of cheesy stuff too. That's like, that album, Jesus, that album's 25 years. No, it's almost 30 years old
Almost
now.
30,
Yeah. That came out like 94.
Is that what You and Me was on?
No, that's one of their later albums. That's like a mid 2000s.
Oh yeah.
I want to say that's the Grug Rux album maybe, but I haven't listened to any of their new albums in a long time.
I haven't
here.
I haven't
Yeah.
here.
To
Not since Grugrex.
Mm-hmm.
To me, the best part about Dave Matthews is the kids that go see him at music festivals, and he does this whole like, and then they film it and they put it on TikTok, and they're like, Dave Matthews is on drugs, and
Well,
they're like,
you-
and every
yes.
single comment is by somebody over the age of like 20, and they're like, you've never been to a Dave Matthews show, you don't get it.
Well, Dave Matthews is on drugs. They're not wrong.
No, probably not.
I mean, what about his dancing? I think that's his big.
Oh, it's just like
That's what everybody talks about, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Little
No,
national
I've
treasure.
seen that group thrice. I've seen the band Dave Matthews Band thrice, not the band Thrice. And I was literally like, well, I'll be honest, we got this kind of thing never happens, but we got company tickets to like season tickets to the Ruoff Center up near Indianapolis, which used to be called Deer Creek.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
where he's doing this Friday.
We're Fish Place.
Yeah,
He's-
I saw that last year too.
Yeah, he's
And
playing Friday there.
we
I
were.
think Fish might be on drugs, if we're actually being honest.
Wait a minute.
If we're being honest, I have my suspicions.
I didn't know this was going to be such a heavy podcast. No, I was showing my girlfriend Taylor the calendar for the Ruoff Center. I was like, "Is there anything that looks good to you on here?" Because I don't have anything, and I don't want to be like, except if you want to go see Dave. and so she looked at it and she was like, "This is a bad season at this venue," and I was like, "Yeah."
Except for Dave, right?
I was like, "Are you sure you don't?" And she was like, "No, you didn't convince myself, neither the other 4 members of my family that you tried to get to watch concert videos from." So,
I love it.
Chrissy and Missy.
All right.
All right.
Well, I feel better educated. Yeah.
So let's figure out what the overall Chrissy though is.
Of those 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and you didn't count one, so it's just those 4.
Or of the 90s era, if you want to interject any like contenders
am I
that
allowed
we
to do
have.
that?
Yeah,
Or
sure.
if you want to change the rules and not make it 90s and do whatever.
yeah, sure.
Oh, no, let's definitely. I like the constraints that you made with the game. Let's do that.
90s or
Let's,
maybe a couple early 2000ers we can allow.
Do you guys want to do a berg break while I consider this?
Yeah, sure.
Let's do a
Sure.
second Berg break.
Yeah.
I hope we have 4 more. Oh, we have exactly 4 more.
Kismet.
I will say
wow.
that 2 of these items on the list were pulled from the worst albums of the 90s list.
Which ones?
Oh wait, Can I
Smashing
guess?
Pumpkins.
No, that can't possibly be the case. Is it
No.
the worst?
No.
And wait, whose list of worst albums?
Some douche, I'm sure.
Some fucking guy.
Yeah, some fucking guy.
And we're all some fucking guy,
is
for the
it-
record.
the
Is it
presidents of the United States of America, one of them,
Yes.
and is it the Dave Matthews album?
No, it was Hammer.
Ooh,
Oh, okay,
burn,
yeah.
burn,
Because
Bumps in a
they
bump.
they were criticizing him for trying to become Snoop Dre.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. But it's not a thing.
Oh man, I feel weird.
It's all right.
Why?
Well, you should have a second Underberg if you feel weird.
Yeah.
Bright alert.
I
Underberg
don't-
for when you
there's-
feel weird.
There's just so many. I'm a 90s music person, so
I'm glad that wasn't me. I heard it though.
this is gonna be so pretentious.
I put my mic up to it.
It's gonna be so pretentious, but it's literally all I can think about is PJ Harvey. I think everybody needs to listen to PJ Harvey.
Okay.
Love Family Feud.
Family Feud.
That's Steve Harvey.
Oh yeah.
Not very much not a rapper.
Steve J. Harvey.
Okay.
DJ Money Baby.
That's our. Look at that. No, that can't be the answer. See, like I said, you know what album I listened to the most in the 90s? In the 90s was Limp Bizkit's Significant Other. That's
I
the
wrote down
truth.
Limp Bizkit
Yeah,
as one as
yeah.
a secondary.
Yeah.
That was on the list of worst.
Yeah.
I swear to God.
Oh, really?
It was
Yeah.
number 2.
Yeah.
Well,
I would-
you know, it came into this world as a reject.
Yeah.
That was their next album. I think.
There was a show on MTV called Fanatic.
I remember that one.
Are you guys familiar with this?
No.
So it
like-
was it was a show where it was like a 30-minute program where they like regulars, like regular folks could talk for like the first 2 segments, like the first 20 minutes about their fandom of a certain artist, and then the last 10 minutes is them meeting that artist and just like sitting in like an MTV studio and interviewing them. I actually submitted, with the help of my mother, a tape.
Oh, this is okay.
To meet
Can we
Fred
find this
Durst.
somewhere? This needs to be on the internet, I think.
We sent a VHS to MTV.
Oh my gosh.
And they never got back to us. So the answer is no, but that didn't stop me from having a red Yankees cap, which is like sacrilege to me now. And yeah, but Significant Other by Limp Bizkit, I
All right.
probably listened to that album like 1,000 times.
He's the guy that like admitted to doing the bad thing in the bathroom, right? With the microphone on. They made a whole HBO documentary.
The Jinx.
He was doing it for the nookie.
Yeah. So you can just take that cookie.
Thank you.
I was a big
Chris.
Robert Durst head. That's great.
If you're doing it all for the nookie, are you doing anything for anyone else? I'm just saying.
No, but how else are you going to get cookies?
Have you heard the Cookie Monster version of that song?
Oh, was that
Yeah.
on Mad TV?
It might have been. It was
Yeah.
like something.
That was good.
I did it
Yeah.
all for the cookie. The yum. The what?
That was
the cookie.
and stick it in my
up your yum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was one of those things you downloaded on Napster, and you were like, I don't know what
100%.
this is, but I'm gonna download it.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
2 hot girls kissing, and all I got was this
Cookie Monster.
cookie song.
The amount of times I
Yeah.
tried to like download Dave Matthews Band on Napster and just accidentally ended up with a virus porn.
Yeah.
Oh, I totally crashed my parents' desktop by downloading a on Kazaa.
I remember that.
Yeah,
Kazaa.
I was really psyched about this Grammys performance of
Dave Matthews Band.
it was just you wait. It was Moby and Jill Scott.
I wanted to put Moby on the list.
It was Moby and Jill Scott and the Blue Man Group doing the Moby song "Natural Blues." And it
Amazing.
fucking rules.
Blue Man Group doing Natural Blues.
Yeah, no, the performance was amazing, and I was like, I must see this. And it took like 48 hours to download, and it just fucking crashed the entire computer.
48 hours.
You had to like restart it like 6 times, I'm sure. Like find new hosts. Oh man,
You
those
went
are
down
the
to
days.
2 seeds. It was bad.
So
Oh, yeah.
I think that mine are better for you. Rate these quickly. Kid A, Chrissy or Missy?
Shit, yeah, fucking Chrissy.
Are you just bogarting my game?
Yeah. Smash Mouth. Astro Lounge.
When the morning comes?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
fuck that. I never like that throwback bullshit. I don't like that.
And just because like he's a friend of the show, I don't know any specific albums. Garth Brooks / Chris Gaines.
Well, the idea of Chris Gaines, it rocks so hard.
That's
And also,
Chris-
he did that episode of SNL as Garth Brooks and Chris Gaines.
Oh shit! I need to go
Amazing.
back and watch that.
Oh
one.
my god, it has one of the best.
very
One of my favorite SNL sketches on there too, which is Will Ferrell playing the devil after Garth Brooks, his character, sells his soul to the devil.
Really?
And
I don't think I
Will
Okay,
Ferrell
we're gonna
does
find
songs
it.
like,
Link in the show notes.
Oh yeah, we'll absolutely do that. Whenever appropriate, I will show this to you. It's so amazing.
I love it.
Garth Brooks plays a character named Milo who is crashing at his girlfriend's house who is on a gas tire. And he's such a loser. He loses his job, but he's trying to make it as a songwriter. And he sells his soul to the devil after she leaves him. And the devil, who is Will Ferrell, comes up. And Will Ferrell then goes through numerous songs like Fast Car on the Highway, on the Byway, Mr. Robotron.
When was the last time you saw this skit?
Maybe like last year or so.
Okay.
It was like yesterday.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, you did a very good
That's
job. I feel
Fred,
like I was there.
Fred's Got Slacks too is one of the Devil's songs, and yeah. Anyway, okay, cool.
A lot of that.
This is a good segment.
A lot of
like
information you didn't ask
Yeah.
for. Yeah.
New podcast coming out soon. Chrissy or Messy with all of your upcoming album reviews from the 90s and early 2000s.
We could do little I would totally come back for a little 20-minute like album discussion with you guys.
We'll just phone you in.
That was gratifying. You know what? Let's do that.
We'll just talk about it at Mile Wide.
Like Sarah Koenig style.
That's
Serial.
an NPR.
Yes. See, these are the
I
references
got
I
you.
don't get.
Mhm. Anyway, so that was fun. Let's.
That was something. Yeah.
We've learned a lot about you already, but we're ready to learn more. So, you know the name of the game. Is there a second show and tell?
Was that an? Oh. So I was like, is that an album? No. This. Right. Sorry.
Wow, it came
This
after
is
the
gonna-
first one.
This is gonna go from like sublime, or like ridiculous to absolutely sublime, and that's not gonna be a good mix.
Okay, well, speaking of which, Sublime, another good reference.
That's what I thought you were talking about too for a second.
This is my sublime coffee table book.
Ooh.
No.
The lost art of the coffee table book, honestly.
Well, that's actually something that's been on my mind lately, and this was my. I was honestly a little inspired by what Schreffler did when he was on the pod.
Oh yeah, he brought Stephen King.
He was like, I read. Everybody should read. How great is reading?
His clip did amazing on TikTok too, by the way. So
don't tell him that.
Take you from the top.
What lyrics are you looking up? Misery Business. Jules, did you have to look up the lyrics just to say take it from the top?
I think so.
I think that's where we are at this point.
All right, you have a book.
Sponsored by Two Hearted.
Hell yeah.
I do have a book, but I have more importantly, the idea of a book.
Sure. It's all Pulitzer Prize winners.
This is not a pipe.
I collect cookbooks, and I think everybody should have cookbooks. I think everybody should have not one cookbook. I think they should have a massive amount of cookbooks. Whether you give a shit about cooking or not, which I believe everybody should give a massive shit about cooking. We're not going to talk about massive shit.
No, it's a matter of time before we all run out.
You did have to look up the lyrics for that. And I just brought one, which is Sean Brock's Heritage. Sean Brock originally from Nashville. His first of two books. And I just thought that this was one of the most aesthetically pleasing things to mention on the pod.
Yeah, it's a beautiful cover. It's called Heritage.
Yep. And mostly because it's so big and it would show up so well like this and put it in front of your face. But I collect cookbooks and use them quite a lot in my household. And there is, to me, nothing more gratifying than looking through something that is not only very informative and educational, but it's literally art. Like, these pictures of food are so amazing. Look at this low country boil picture.
Let's go.
Wow.
Let's go.
LFG.
Oh, that would
Yeah.
kill me. I love it.
Give me that and some fucking Lager the Lakes, and I'm having a goddamn good day. Like, that's
Look at this guy. You just pet him.
He's a big old friendly piggy.
Yeah.
Then eat him.
Yeah.
But we actually absolutely, pass that around. I got really inspired over the weekend with this challenge because we went to go see the Squaring the Circle documentary at the Speed Art Museum, which is
that Pink Floyd one?
Yeah, it's the group Hypnosis, the art group Hypnosis that did all of the Pink Floyd album covers, mini Led Zeppelin, 10cc, a lot of other different bands of that era. and one of the interviewees in the documentary was Noel Gallagher, formerly of Oasis, and
Those watermelons.
he mentioned pretty much the sole purpose for Noel Gallagher being in this documentary was to talk about how Zoomers, or even like younger people than Zoomers, which no disrespect to anybody of the younger generation whatsoever.
I mean, maybe a little.
We need them to drink Voodoo Ranger. The
Juice Force.
the importance of album art and physical media is just almost at a zero now.
It's more about like the Instagram follow now
yeah.
than it is about like the album art and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like the fact that you can be on whatever your what sticker is that?
I've got the break room.
The breaker room from Lexington, right on. Yeah.
So now we know what Chris made last.
So I was gonna say it's a recipe for roasted scallops with pumpkin and
Let's go.
Words
Words are hard.
I don't know. I'm gonna just skip over that.
Mussels.
Nope. Brussels sprouts and black truffle.
Mussel sprouts and black mussels.
Muscle sprouts.
We were watching this documentary. Noel Gallagher is like, my daughter uses, I don't know, Apple Music or Spotify, and the album art is this big.
Yeah.
Whereas and then he mentioned like buying vinyl, and looking at every single part of the record and all the liner notes before,
And then usually they'd have a little lyrics in there.
Yeah.
They'd have like some funny jokes.
Yeah.
When you used to buy CDs, the front cover would have the songs and then the lyrics in it,
Of course.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Pull that
Exactly.
out. Yeah.
which was very helpful for ludicrous albums. Because I just sometimes I couldn't keep up.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I can see why you like
You
this
were like,
book, though.
it's Move, bitch. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Move. I didn't
From
know.
the window
Yeah.
to the wall while sweat drops down my balls. Skeet, 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 skeet.
But no,
skeet,
sorry.
Skeet, goddamn.
Sorry for belaboring that, but one thing that Noel Gallagher says, or Liam, I don't remember which one.
Yeah,
one of the Gallagher brothers, is that collecting vinyl, which is also something that I do, is kind of the poor man's art collection.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually believe that cookbooks are way more apt for that description, and so much more valuable for your life and collecting books, because that's really important. If you don't have books in your house, that's really disturbing.
Yeah.
It is. I'm a big fan of the Gallagher family, especially on Shameless. And I know why you like this book. There's recipes in here, all kinds. This one I just pulled too is carrots braised and glazed and carrot juice. I could not imagine how you make that, but I'm here for it.
Thank you.
You got the book. You got the book. No,
You're
I
welcome
completely
to borrow
agree with
that,
you.
sir. Yeah.
Courtney's a cookbook person as well.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I was always like, you can just get this shit on the internet. But it's a different thing when you're like, okay, well, what do we want to have for dinner? Like, we have to eat. You can try to be, and usually it's based around some kind of like a theme or an idea. And there's sometimes I always like to make jokes about like when you try to find recipes like on the internet, you go to like Christian Mom of 7 blog at like whatever spot.com. And it's like, well, when my little men are hungry, it's like I'm trying to figure out how to make a goddamn.
I usually
vegan
just skip
meatloaf.
that part.
Well, yeah. When my boys are hungry, there's no telling what kind of something we're going to get into tonight. In 1997, my husband and me were, and so it's like this like whole thing. It's like good pictures to the point, and
We have different Google recommendations.
these are the things I find on the internet. Yeah.
I think when I get home, I'm going to make braised lamb neck with tomato conserve and squash seed risotto.
You know what you should really do is look at the fried chicken recipe, because it literally takes more than 24 hours. And I cannot describe to you how much fucking flour was just absolutely like LeBron James style spread out throughout my entire kitchen the first time I did it.
What I have to say is that the cookbooks that I do enjoy the most, and I have several, I do love to cook. The ones that I enjoy the most, list out the prep time and the cook time.
And so
Because
double
I know what I'm getting into.
That is something that I'm hypersensitive towards about cookbooks. Is there are so many that I have. I mean, honestly, I've been burned by quite a few of them that I bought too, because some of them are like entirely inaccessible. Like nothing against this person whatsoever, but I was gifted Wiley Dufresne's WD-50 cookbook One
they came
time
after WD-40 or
yeah, his restaurant was a pun on WD-40. You're right. Maybe that's why he doesn't own it anymore. And he does tacos and donuts. He does Dufresne's Donuts now, but he was like the front runner in the molecular gastronomy movement, which is if you don't know, it's like using gases and such to like hard freeze your things, and it's like something that's very easily made fun of,
like Dippin' Dots.
Dippin' Dots.
Yeah,
That's
sure.
a great example. Yeah.
Was his first name Andy Dufresne or no?
That's Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
Stephen King reference.
He knows.
Yeah.
Thank you, John.
I like to explain the inside jokes.
But anyway, there's no reason to own molecular gastronomy cookbook at all, and
Unless you're doing whippets constantly.
yeah. Well,
There should be a Whippet cookbook.
I could write that
honestly.
cookbook for sure. W.D. Crendy over here. So, yeah.
Hey, I think that it was oh God, I actually have thought about buying them to bring them on the podcast. I have not done it yet, and I'm gonna forget the artist that did it, so apologies. I feel like it was somebody like Little Kim or some rapper who was big a little bit ago has craft whippets out now. I see him at the liquor stores. It's like an old female kind of rapper from the mid 2000s era. I can't remember who it was, but anyway, so now craft whippets.
Sarah McLachlan.
It was Sarah. Yeah. In the arms of the angel, fly away from here because you just did this whippet and
You have no fear.
Yeah.
Well,
and cheers.
It makes sense though. I mean, so I don't want to harp on this too much, but going back to Whole Foods when you were in the meat department, I'm sure that did play a little bit of a role in your love for cooking right now.
Oh, the entire time I spent at Whole Foods did for sure. There's this is something that is unfailing for sure. There is a quality standard for food that still exists within that organization that I think is really important. I know this is kind of oft mentioned and kind of easily clowned upon, but we used to mention in terms of the seafood that you buy at Whole Foods, we actually have we're actually pretty lucky in Louisville to have the UPS World Port. Mm-hmm. See, I told you, this is clowned upon.
No, you're correct though. We can get stuff
Thank you, John.
24 hours.
Yeah.
Well, it's good for people who ship beer as well. Not that anybody would ever do that to violate USPS services. But yeah, it's a huge deal.
Yeah.
And it's really good for local businesses as well, because if you're a small business that tries to ship things internationally, it's really nice to be able to easily do 2-day shipping on stuff. Anyway.
So, the seafood is just
say more.
The best Louisville trope. It's we
I
got
know,
better
right?
seafood
I know,
than Maryland.
It's pronounced trout.
Yeah, but then but then we don't have count me out on exploring this with great detail, but I don't think we have a lot of great seafood restaurants.
I totally agree with you.
I agree.
Yeah.
They could be better.
And then the ones that they had, Brendan's Catch 23, that was a more upscale deal. I mean, you were paying the same prices as if you didn't get it, closer to home. I don't know.
Well, I think there's something to be said for maybe it's because people can get good shit at the grocery stores.
Also,
I don't know.
Am I the only one going to Mike Lennox around here? That place is great.
Man, I love going to the River City Warehouse because it's so close to there. Yeah.
Am I wrong that that's mostly just kind of southern fried seafood, right?
No,
it's delicious.
Yeah, it is.
It is really good.
But
It's like a beautiful
joke.
estate too. It's so wonderful.
You can check out the locks.
All of our good fish is fried. With the fish house banger, but it's just we don't have any
River House,
culinary
baby.
seafood.
River House.
That's
Can
the
I shout
one.
out River House? Is
Yeah,
that
that's
cool?
the one.
Yeah. River House is awesome. I'm sure I'm forgetting some other ones, but
Fish House in the Highlands next to a rye.
yeah.
Place is good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. Fish House, the fishery over in
Yeah, the fishery's
the
legit.
fishery is
Though. It's
is the
Frankfurt
one.
Avenue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Or Lexington.
Lexington.
Yeah,
yes.
that's right. Yeah.
Look at us.
Very good.
Well, we drank some Aventinus. We drank some Two Hearted. Now we
Can't remember the
That is a
goddamn-
really unique 1-2 punch of kind of quote unquote high ABV beers.
Well, also 2 Underbergs in the mix, and
That just
You're
makes me want to drink more beer.
And Jacob
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
Furries.
yeah. Well, that's
Jacob and the Furries, baby.
classic.
yeah.
Have you guys ever been to a NASCAR race? Ever?
That's a great transition.
No.
No, I haven't been.
No.
Did you see this bullshit in the news today? All right, so hot on Twitter today. I think originally posted by Libs Drone Kids with some kind of a small thing. Nick _ Cage.
Jesus Christ. Pretend like you read the article before you saw it right this second.
It's not an article, it's a tweet. This is how the news is these days. It's all on Twitter.
Oh,
So somebody snapped a pic at NASCAR. And I guess I'll just read what they wrote for the tweet. LMAO, which means I think laughing my ass off. What the fuck? NASCAR got its start bootlegging. You owe it to Dale to smuggle your beer into this race. The picture is of the alcohol pricing at the beer booth inside of this NASCAR race. Busch Light. Have you seen this yet?
No.
How much is exorbitant to pay for a 12-ounce bottle of Busch Light in your humble
like
opinion?
totally insane?
Like event price,
12 ounce.
Yeah.
$10 is exorbitant. $8, I would assume.
Are they 12 ounces?
Who knows?
I
would assume so.
They're definitely
You
tall
think
boys.
they're tall boys?
Yeah. For events.
$10.50
Yeah.
is what they're charging for a Busch Light. And then they offer you the 6-pack price. I'm not sure why you would go buy a 6-pack.
You're a NASCAR, baby.
I mean, $63 for a 6-pack.
Wait a minute.
And so then I was trying to think of the same thing. I was like,
Yeah.
let's do the math.
You actually
So-
pay 50
like-
cents more
Exactly. It's not exactly
to have the
to
six
have
pack.
the 6-pack. So it's a 600% markup over what you, or a 600% markup over what you get that for in the grocery store. And there's no discount for buying the 6-pack. It's more. Why? Michelob Ultra, same price, $10.50 to buy a Michelob Ultra. How much do you have to hate yourself?
I'll tell you why.
Yeah, go ahead.
Where else are you gonna get it?
Well, so then I was scrolling through Twitter, and
Well,
again,
that's
I'm
the
not a
tweet.
NASCAR person.
You gotta. Dale wants you to smuggle it in.
Well, apparently you can bring coolers into NASCAR events, and they don't search it like they do at Churchill Downs or
Yes,
whatever.
they do.
Well,
That-
this is also a streetcar race as part of the Cup Series in Chicago, so I'm not really sure how many races are like that. I've never been to one.
Me neither. Probably because the beer's so expensive. That's really all there is to say. I don't think
Probably
this is
'cause it sucks.
much of a story, but
No, it's a story. How much would you pay for a 6-pack of beer? That's the story.
not $63. I mean, if I was there and trying to have a really good time, I just want a 6-pack of Busch Light.
No, okay, just say any amount of some of the best beer you can have or whatever. I mean,
So
would you pay-
Bell's Too Hearted is a great example.
No,
Well, and you can buy a 4-pack of Bell's Too Hearted for I think retail they're probably around the
A
$9 to
4-pack?
$12
Yeah, just
range
ask Chris.
usually out the market.
yeah, let's guess.
I'm trying to.
How
That's
much does a gallon of milk cost, Michael? $10.
It's a banana, Michael. I feel like Bell's Too Hearted is usually a $10 to $12 4-pack for tall boy 16-ounce
Yeah,
cans.
it's like $9-10 for a 4-pack.
Yeah.
Well, no, now $13 for a 6-pack,
fair.
12 ounce. Yeah.
If I'm at an event, you're coming to a bar like Nachbar, $4 for a Too Hearted is an amazing deal. If I'm at a concert or a festival, $7 to $8 for a Too Hearted, that seems like a really good deal. For a fucking Busch Light, no.
Have you been to the Center in the last?
No. Because I'm not playing that game.
Sorry, guys.
I'm not playing that dirty little game of
yeah, I mean, so I was gonna, most of those 16, maybe 20 ounce cans are pushing 13, 14.
Listen, people of the world, we need to start we need to have a workers' rebellion, a drinkers' rebellion against these
do agree with
exorbitant
that.
concert festival pricing. We're gonna start a GoFundMe at fuck Busch Light gouging.
It's not.
.com.
Yeah, it's the
.org.
event organizers that take the cut of that. I mean, I've been to many shows, concerts, festivals, whatever, and there's always 30-40% markup just beyond the measure.
But 600%.
It's not up to Busch Light, and Busch Light doesn't care because they sold it already. So it's really on the responsibility of the organizers to say, hey, what are we going to gouge people on? We've already gouged them on ticket prices and these fees.
Yeah.
Let's gouge them again.
Well, to me,
And then when they get in, let's gouge them on parking.
yeah,
It's
Ticketmaster.
it's a
don't even get
bad
started with that shit.
it's a bad money grab.
Yeah. So this person's tweet was actually perfect. You owe it to Dale to smuggle your beer into this race.
Yeah.
We need a drinkers' rebellion in this country, and just a concert goers, music people. We need to start being no, I'm not going to pay 70% convenience fee on Ticketmaster or whatever. So
I don't think you bought a ticket on Ticketmaster.
yeah, I'm the beginning of the movement.
Yeah.
I'm starting the revolution.
I don't.
You're
think
like
so.
the beer Zach De La Roca.
Let's
from
go.
Rage Against the Machine.
You are
I
so
understand.
edgy.
I know. That's what I've been trying to tell you guys.
I
So
love
look,
it.
it's all dictated by market forces.
Oh.
We've got to stop doing that shit, even though it's gonna hurt.
Yeah. Some of those market forces are the same ones that burn crosses.com. Cheers.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Man, totally didn't even think about Rage Against the Machine.
Is
90s
Rage
albums.
Chrissy
Yeah.
Missy?
Oh, Chrissy.
Okay.
Chrissy.
Yeah, I was getting that vibe.
Yeah.
All right, so that's all I had to say about that.
Anyway, so on a more local level, we are happy to introduce a new segment that we're going to be carrying out over the next,
Yeah, I forgot about
10
this.
weeks or so.
Yeah, this is actually
And we are going to slowly roll out the Louisville Beer Week brewery collab announcements.
So
So,
for the beer,
for
So-
those who
that's
don't
awesome.
know. Oh, I'll do it.
Oh,
Scary
you're gonna
started,
do it
so-
because you started it.
Well, yeah. We should just okay. The Aventinus, ladies and gentlemen. Louisville Beer Week every year. We've been doing it for the past 6 years, I guess. This will be our 6th year running it and organizing it. It's just a celebration of everything great about Louisville. The greatest thing about Louisville is the craft beer community. So this is our little love letter to Louisville craft beer. We do it every year. And as a part of that, we partner up the breweries completely randomly. We did it earlier today. And they make a special collaboration beer for the city to kind of come and enjoy. If you're a big Holsapple fan, but maybe you haven't been out to Shippingport, if they happen to get collabed or something, then you kind of get a way to experience that tap room from the comfort of your tap room and explore new places, blah, blah, blah. So
blah, blah, blah.
yada, yada, yada.
This is really boring.
All right, we'll take it from there. To share the first collaboration for this year, we are very proud to announce, I don't know why that we're proud to announce it, but we're very happy to share that 2 new breweries to the Louisville market have been paired together in what I think is actually going to be potentially pretty goddamn interesting. Awry, friends of the show, recently on the pod, right at the corner of Barrett and Winter right there, I believe. And Pivot, down Bardstown Road, close to Zaz Pizza and the ATG Public House areas and whatnot, kind of that little stretch.
Darlings El Mundo.
There you go.
Cat Cafe.
Are collabed. So they're going to be putting something out interesting. What do you guys think about that? I was kind of, I don't know, that made me think that there's a lot of possibilities for creativity.
That was a fun one. T-Mart comes from a wine background. You're talking about a place that's traditionally known for their ciders. They have beer, but they're also known for their ciders.
Mhm.
I think we could see something really special. Also, both, Highlands boys, one in the Deer Park neighborhood, one on the the lower Highland Avenue area.
OG Highlands, I think.
yeah.
Right on the corner between that and Germantown, basically.
Yeah, I like Pivot pushes the envelope a little bit with their cider and beer program, and they'll introduce different flavors that like kind of maybe be cocktail inspired or otherwise. And Awry is kind of that like we're like looking at this cannonball and just seeing like how fast is this going to shoot out. They have tons of brewing knowledge, experience, and even have, like Michael mentioned, a brewer that is coming from a wine background. So like I can see this being like any kind of like mixed culture, maybe
Yeah.
like a shandy. I feel like it's gonna get like pretty weird.
That was my impression. Yeah.
What's the one where you mix a cider with a beer a little bit?
Sizer or
Sizer.
Graph,
Yeah, I was thinking like Sizer or Graph.
I've
So,
never heard either of those terms before.
I haven't either. I don't think I've ever done it.
The term graph was originated by Stephen King in the Dark Tower series. One of the main characters
Well-
liked to do stout mixed with hard cider, and that was
Wait,
his
didn't
drink.
somebody do that for Beer Week? Like
Somebody's probably made a
in the
graph.
last couple weeks?
Yeah.
Someone's done
Or
the graph.
beers?
Yeah.
Well, if I was more like Scott Schreffler, I probably would have known that. No, but I was busy being too cool.
That's right.
I'm
You are too
excited,
cool.
and I think it's cool. Yeah, like just like you said, like Tyler's love of kind of like the wine, aromatic, fruity pairing with Pivot's love of cider. I think we could get something super, super interesting. And then with like Alex kind of having like that culinary mindset, especially since the theme of this year's Beer Week is Louisville beer goes global. So every yeah, right. Louisville beer going global.
No, sorry. I was thinking about something you said 5 seconds ago.
Oh, okay.
And I
Well,
keep going.
yeah, trying to
Sorry.
incorporate some kind of culinary elements as well to kind of give you an experience of traveling to different cultures or basing beers around kind of ingredients represented in different cuisines from around the world. I think that there's going to be a lot of things to be excited and worth trying.
So each week we'll be revealing one pairing. So if you want to hang around, watch the episodes for a couple weeks, we'll be announcing them all live here.
Yeah.
Chris, you're the first one to hear this.
I'm super excited to be the first one for sure.
What was our jingle
is
from
this,
last week? Louisville Ale Trail. You heard it here first.
That's the new segment.
Dude,
Yeah, pretty much.
To quench your thirst.
Have you been to New Pivot Spot yet?
I have not been there yet.
Let's go sometime.
No,
They have cocktails. We can drink. We can have a cocktail night. We'll go to Darling's and we'll go to Pivot. It'll be fun.
I'll take you guys to the
And
Cat
Lindo.
Cafe.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm good. If one scratches me, I'm going to be breaking out in hives for the rest of the night.
Bruh.
Yeah, but like,
I'm ruined.
but
I've
are
seen
you,
these hives.
I can see that, but do you have the hives? That's worse than the scratch.
The Hives, good band.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, they
Chris,
are.
I
forgot
gotta
about that
say,
one.
all I wanted was you.
Thank you. That's a great song. Thank you for sending me a video of that live performance of that exact song from Bonnaroo this past weekend. Not to date it, but you know, I did dress up for July 4th though with my RTJ.
There you
shirt.
go.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nice,
so,
nice.
Yeah, because I love this country so much.
And now all I want is this podcast to end.
Chris, do you have anything personal or professional that you'd like to plug and let people know about?
Oh my goodness. Cook with cookbooks. Listen to Kentucky Commons Radio Hour and keep looking forward to all the different new announcements that are going to be happening for Louisville Beer Week, which happens in 2025? Is that when that's happening?
Oh,
October 2023.
Oh, cool. Okay, so it's really soon. Gotcha.
It's coming up.
Yeah. Support local business, support your local homebrew supply store, and
Drink Two Hearted.
keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars.
Yeah.
Drink whatever you want. Cheers. Drink Aventinus. How about that?
It's a good move. It's a good move.
John, what do you got?
I want to chat out two things. I'm going to do one quickly, and then I'm going to do one that's annoying. But first one is just possums. I was hanging at my garage a couple nights ago, a little bit late, drinking some beers.
I saw these pictures.
Yeah,
You're right.
sitting there
Yeah, it
meditating,
happened.
and a little baby possum just kind of crept in there. I always thought possums were kind of evil. That's always been my experiences with dealing with them. I think the O is silent. They get mad if you vowel them or whatever.
Opossums can't
Yeah.
read.
But possums are really cute, man. This guy was just he just kind of sitting there hanging out. I don't think he knew I was there for a while. I was like, oh, there's a possum. I'll be real quiet. And then he looked at me, and I looked at him, and he gave me a little.
This is an R. Kelly music video.
Yeah. But the other thing I wanted, so possums,
Chapter
and then the
14.
other thing I would shout out is just Larry Bell. I mean, honestly, he's always been somebody that I kind of looked up to just because he did start from homebrewing perspective, per standpoint, and then grew it into the behemoth monolith that is icon that it is today. But wherein a lot of people in the craft beer world were kind of thought that they were hot shit and thought that they were making stuff that it was too cool for you to understand, which is kind of how craft beer kind of got some of that stigma around it, that it's for the cool kids club or whatever. Larry Bell published the recipe for Two Hearted on homebrewtalk.com in 2001 or something. He's hey, here's how you make it. All this was super. I think Bell's at least used to also run a little homebrew store out of their
Still does.
corporate office. Yeah, you can buy Bell's Two Hearted recipe from Bell's Two Hearted.
The general store is connected to the Eccentric Cafe. So
Yeah.
the general store is literally like a Bell's fan store and beer to go, but also the other half of it is all homebrew supplies still.
So to me, that just speaks to the ethos of that company. It's
Yeah.
not a cash grab, too cool for school. It's just trying to make really good beer, creative. One of the most consistently good beers on the earth is Bell's Two Hearted, in my opinion. And Lager of the Lakes has kind of been my new jam too. But anyway, I'll shout out Larry. Cheers, man. Hope you enjoy opening that new brewery in your retirement.
yeah, no, he's literally opening a jazz piano bar.
Yeah,
in-
even that's the way to go,
Cool.
man.
Yeah,
Shout
new
out, Larry.
brewery.
Yeah. just teasing.
We love people named Larry. David, what do you got?
I'm gonna shout out Drunkwood, friend of the pod.
I've already done that before.
He gave me this hat.
That's a cool hat. I
Yeah,
like that.
it's a cool hat. But if you ever need some bourbon barrel art installed on your wall in your house, maybe some shelves, some like nice things to show off your bourbon to people that can't afford it, I would suggest John King, Drunkwood in Kentucky.
Or if you just want a good snarky Instagram follow, like follow Drunkwood in KY.
I love
or a good snarky friend.
Yeah, I love his Instagram. If you could just watch it, leave a review in the comments of what you think, any feedback, his SEO status. We'd love to help him out. You know.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Little fish in a big pond. That John King.
Yeah.
That John, we're gonna kick you off the show.
All right, fine.
I would like to shout out Gravitational Waves. NASA is going to be making a big announcement tomorrow regarding the future of the study in the universe. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this news. It's going to be coming out.
I can't tell
by your excited faces. I'm going to say no. So
yeah, this is the
I
first
do.
time I
I do TikTok.
I'm just glad it's NASA, not SpaceX. So
yeah, it's legitimate. Definitely not Titan.
Oh God,
that's a bad joke. Sorry,
God.
guys. That's
Titan.
not fun. Anyway, yeah. So like, they're traditionally the way that we view the universe and like our surroundings is through photons and like. Actually, like with like microscopes and like light and being able to
and psilocybin.
Yeah, and psilocybin. And as David unplugs John or struggles to, and then spills too hard in the process. Yeah, so we observe the observable universe via light. One of the things that we've realized over the last 3 years through the LIGO, thank you, LIGO, is that you have arms on the Earth that are like 3 miles wide, and maybe they're like lasers or physical arms. I don't remember. Sorry, but they can actually detect gravitational waves pulsing in the universe, and that's caused by black holes dancing around each other, like colliding almost. But eventually, they make a bigger black hole, and that causes even more waves. But the issue is like a 3 mile long detector is pretty long, right? But unfortunately, in the whole grand scheme of like the universe, it's really not that long. So that's crazy. But this is the kicker. You have these like pulsar lights, which are dead stars that were the result of a supernova. And I'm pulling a John right now.
No, you're on track. You're accurate.
Yeah. So you have these pulsars, and it's just like the remains of a supernova that happened. And John's putting the mic back on. But here's the thing about these pulsars is that we can see them exist in the universe through microscopes and whatnot. But then with telescopes, microscopes, they all are useful tools for seeing things. You can tell when a gravitational wave is coming towards another object because it kind of like bends space-time around it. And so when that happens to one of these dead stars, the light like in the star kind of changes just a little bit.
Redshift.
Yes. And then what we're able to do now is, instead of having just a 3 mile long, like 2-arm extension on the Earth, we have an entire Milky Way galaxy arm taking in those gravitational waves. So shout out to gravitational waves and NASA and letting us observe the universe and black holes and cool things like that.
Thanks, Chris.
The Earth is flat.